Are you still thinking about buying an Apple Watch Ultra, or are you just completely confused still about this weird, expensive, seemingly pointless Apple product? Well, if so, I've got some news. If you told me 12 months ago that my product of the year from Apple for 2022 was going to be the Apple Watch, I'd have laughed you out the door. But that is exactly what happened with the Apple Watch Ultra. This adventurer-focused, crazy, seemingly, like I said before, pointless device from Apple completely took me by surprise. And I found that more than any other Apple product, the more you use this thing, the more you realise, one, its secrets, and two, who it's for. And in today's video, I'm going to reveal both of those things. And yes, I've hurt my finger. I thought I'd start by giving a shout out to the Alpine Loop band, which is this one here. So when I bought my Apple Watch Ultra, it came with the Alpine Loop, which looked fantastic to begin with for about a month, and then it got very grubby and dirty. It's also difficult to put on, and you can't really wear it anywhere without looking like you're about to go scaling a mountain, so I had to get something else. I'm still using that one, by the way. I'm still using the Alpine Loop for running and that sort of stuff, but for everything else, I'm now using the Trail Loop. Now, is this worth £99? No, not at all, but if you buy genuine Apple Watch Ultra bands, you're going to have to spend a lot of money on them. To be fair, it's very well made, it's very comfortable, and I think it looks great. And the most important thing, unlike the Alpine Loop, is that the Trail Loop band, whatever you call it, I think can be worn in a lot of different scenarios. So it works very well for working out, it's very breathable, you can clean it very easily, but also it looks quite smart. So if you're buying your new Apple Watch Ultra and you're not sure which band to get, I'd actually start with the Trail Loop. The first thing I'm going to mention about the Apple Watch Ultra today might surprise you, and that is the fact that I think it is pretty well priced. If you buy the most expensive iPhone on the market, which is the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and if you spec that thing up as far as you can, in the UK you'll spend £1,749 on it. By comparison, this Apple Watch Ultra costs £849. You can't spend any more on it unless you add Apple Care Plus and, let's say, a more expensive watch band. There is only one version of the Apple Watch Ultra. You can't get the Apple Watch Ultra Plus, Pro Max, whatever. It's just this one. And when we started hearing rumours about a new Apple Watch, which was going to be back then the Apple Watch Pro, I assumed straight away that Apple would be charging at least £1,000/$1,000 for it. Don't forget, this is the same company that launched the Apple Watch Edition, remember that? Back in 2015, which cost, I made a note of this, in the UK cost £13,500. That was 17 grand in the US. Thankfully, that ludicrous version has been consigned to the history books, but we have had since then versions of the Apple Watch that you can easily spend £1,000 or more on. So for the Apple Watch Ultra to be priced £849, I think is pretty reasonable. It's still an awful lot of money, particularly today, and you need a lot of justification for buying one. I completely get that, but once again, and this comes from having owned one and worn one and used it for many, many months, you do get a lot for your money. I've always thought that the battery is the most important element of an Apple Watch. That has been the case right since the start. The problem has been the fact that you can never get more than a day out of these things. Sure, if you push it, you can just about get 2 days, maybe a day and a half. But that second day is always a bit fraught. It's always a case of, where's my Apple Watch charger? The good news is that that changes completely with the Apple Watch Ultra. Now, there has been a lot of, I'll be honest, guff talked about the battery on this watch. It doesn't last beyond 3 days. Normal everyday use, just taking it to the gym, doing workouts, using it for notifications, doing all the normal Apple Watch stuff. I think, in fact, I know now after 4 months that this is a 2-day device. A bit like the 1-day performance that you get out of most Apple Watches, you'll comfortably get 2 days without worrying about a charger with the Apple Watch Ultra. And that does change things quite a bit. So previously with my Apple Watches, I've always charged them overnight. I've not done the sleep tracking thing because it's just felt annoying to have to worry about charging it the next day. Now, with the Apple Watch Ultra, and the key thing with this is the fast charging, which I know isn't limited to this watch. You do get that with the Series 8 and I think the Series 7, but don't quote me on that. But the fact that you get that fast charging and that pretty much guaranteed 2-day battery life means that you can use it for sleep tracking. And that's great because tracking your sleep is a very important metric, but also, and again, because of that fast charging, it just means that you can very quickly juice it up without worrying about it. But suddenly it makes the process of managing your battery life on the Apple Watch Ultra so much easier, so much more convenient. So when you buy an Apple Watch Ultra, just keep in mind 2 days. That is the guaranteed battery life. It will go beyond that, and in 2 or 3 weeks' time, I'm going to the Lake District to do a 3-day hiking trip. I do this every year, and every year I've taken my Apple Watch, taken the charger, and charged it as often as possible. I'm not going to do that with the Apple Watch Ultra this year. I'm going to charge it up before I go, and then put it into low power mode. And when you turn on this low power mode, it turns off things like the notifications, the always on display. It limits some of the sensors as well. I still think Garmin, for instance, have had a head start with this for many, many years, and I still can't imagine the people who do that really impressive stuff buying an Apple Watch Ultra. So in a few weeks, I really am going to put that theory to test. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell not to miss it. But this does beg one important question. Who on earth is this watch for? Firstly, who it isn't for, I'm pretty sure, until I do my battery test in a few weeks, is these very impressive adventurers. I just don't think, because of that battery life, I just don't think it's for them. But I do understand why Apple is marketing it to those people. It's because it makes the Apple Watch Ultra aspirational. It's just like the MacBook Pro. It isn't only professionals who buy those laptops, it's people who just want a MacBook with the Pro name on it. It's for you as much as it is for professionals, and the same thing goes for the Apple Watch Ultra. It's for people like me as much as it is apparently for people who scale mountains. I think if you're a huge Apple fan, if you're in the ecosystem, if you've been wearing an Apple Watch for a long time but you've wanted something more out of it, let's be honest guys, if you just think the Apple Watch Ultra is really cool, it's for you. And the best news is you won't be disappointed with it. This is such a fantastically built, amazing to look at, in a weird way, beautiful piece of kit. You can't be disappointed with the Apple Watch Ultra. But there is something else I've learned about the Apple Watch Ultra which, selfishly, I absolutely love. I love this business and I'm very proud of Mark Ellis Reviews, but as a YouTuber, and as you guys know, there's no secret behind the fact that we need views and engagement. Now when it comes to Apple, the iPhone, the MacBook Air, the MacBook Pro, and weirdly, the Mac Mini draw in very big audiences consistently. The Apple Watch has never really done that. It's performed fairly well, but it's been a bit kind of, okay, whatever. Not anymore. The Apple Watch Ultra has gone nuts in terms of engagement. It's what I refer to as a content machine, and although views and clicks and things aren't completely guaranteed when you put a video out, you can pretty much bank on the fact that your next Apple Watch Ultra video is going to do pretty well. And I think that's because there's just something about the Apple Watch Ultra. There's two groups of people who watch this stuff. The first might be you. You might be thinking about buying one, but you're very reluctant to spend 849 quid on this unproven device. The second group of people are just fascinated by it. Some love it, some actively hate it, and although most of those people probably will never own an Apple Watch Ultra, they do seem to be fascinated by videos like these. So as a full-time tech reviewer, I just hope, I desperately hope, that Apple continues to make products like this, because they're not for everyone. You know, the Apple Watch Ultra has a very defined audience. It probably won't sell in very big numbers, but I just love the fact it exists. And if Apple loses this sense of adventure, pun intended, then they turn into a much less interesting company. So more of this in 2023, please, Tim. And if you want to see how the Apple Watch Ultra performed during a relatively mild but interesting hike in the Peak District last year, keep watching for a link to that video.